There has been another emergency on board a cruise ship requiring a Coast Guard airlift. And Royal Caribbean has made passengers leave their 7-day cruise after only 2 days on board the ship. Here are the cruise news stories for today. Let's swan dive right into it. Hello everyone, it's Cynthia, your host. Welcome back to today's show. I'm going to jump right into these two cruise news stories. And the first story begins with the Carnival Sunshine. Now, the Carnival Sunshine had set off on a 5-day sailing on April 26th, leaving out of Charleston, South Carolina, and it was headed over to Carnival Cruise Line's private island, Half Moon Cay. Well, on April 27th, the Coast Guard received an emergency response call from the cruise ship that a 35-year-old crew member needed to be airlifted from the ship to receive medical attention. First responders from the U.S. Coast Guard met the Carnival Sunshine about 160 miles east of Jacksonville, Florida. It has been stated that the crew member as well as a nurse were both hoisted up in the helicopter, and they were taken over to the hospital there in Melbourne, Florida, called Home Regional Medical Center. We don't have much more information right now about the crew member or his condition. Now, after this took place, the Carnival Sunshine, which had over 3,700 passengers on board, it continued its trip on to Nassau there at the private island of Half Moon Cay. No one plans for these kind of things to take place, emergencies for crew members or for passengers to become ill. This is one more reason that we always highly suggest having travel insurance anytime that you're traveling, anytime that you're cruising. It's just a really good thing that the Coast Guard and cruise lines have this communication so that if something like this, something big like this is ever needed, they can work together to make sure that people can be safely removed from the cruise ship if that needs to happen. Our hopes and our prayers are certainly with this crew member for a speedy recovery. Our second cruise news story has to do with Royal Caribbean and the Radiance of the Seas. Let me kind of set this up by asking a question. Have you ever been in an argument or a disagreement, a discussion with someone, and they said something to you that was so left field, strange, or unbelievable that you had to pause for a minute and think about what they said, and the only thing that came out of your mouth was, "What?" This is what I'm thinking happened to the passengers aboard the Radiance of the Seas. That was supposed to take place on April 24th of this year. Here's what happened. Passengers boarded the Radiance of the Seas for a 7-night Alaska cruise. But when they boarded the ship, what they encountered was a letter in their stateroom. And it stated that there were propulsion issues and there was problems with the ship, and the ship would need to be repaired before it could leave Vancouver on the way to Alaska. Actually, it needed 2 additional days, so their 7-day cruise would be shortened into a 5-day cruise while they tried to repair the cruise ship to make the trip over from Vancouver. So this is just my guess, but I'm assuming that in an effort to soften the blow, Royal Caribbean would allow passengers to stay on and enjoy the amenities of the ship for 2 days while the crew worked on fixing whatever this issue was. All of us cruisers know that canceled cruises, well, that's not so shocking, but your cruise being canceled while you have been sitting on board the ship for 2 days, now that is quite surprising. But crew were not able to get the repairs fixed as thought. While passengers had spent 2 days on the ship thinking that they were going to have a shortened itinerary, instead they received notice that they would have to leave the ship completely because the cruise had been canceled. Despite our best efforts, circumstances beyond our control have delayed our sailing further. Your patience throughout this time has not gone unnoticed, and we are immensely grateful for your understanding. The letter went on to say, while repairs for the technical issue that we encountered on our previous sailings are still underway, we discovered that we're going to need some extra time to get the ship in tip-top shape for you. What? So every passenger was asked to leave the ship. Now, of course, Royal Caribbean did give compensation. Each passenger would get a 100% future cruise credit, as well as all of their money returned for that current cruise. Also, they were given free Wi-Fi while they were on board until everyone disembarked to help them plan, of course, to get whatever traveling arrangements together that they needed. And also an open bar while they were there. Royal Caribbean also were giving reimbursements for any change fees that would need to be made to airline flights. This is the second time that the Radiance of the Seas has run into some propulsion issues that has had to cancel the cruise. Having your cruise canceled is bad enough, especially after you've already paid for it, made your hotel plans, made your airfare reservations or your rental car, whatever it is you've planned, you've taken the time off, and then your cruise is canceled. But we know it happens, things do happen. But to have your cruise canceled while you're already on board and have been on board for 2 days, that's a whole other story. I don't understand how it came to this, but I know that was a tough situation for all of the crew on board and of course each and every passenger. Yuck. Has this ever happened to any of you out there? Your cruise canceled like the last minute, maybe the day of or while you were there getting ready to board? And if it did, what did you do? Please let us know. Share in the comments below. Now, before you go, please do me the favor of smashing down on that subscribe button, giving us a like, and of course, tap on that notification bell so that you're notified right away when new videos come out. I thank you so much for joining us today, and we will catch you at the next adventure.